Alrighty, we are back with another bug jar. It's been a hot second since we did one of these because we were releasing Folkish. It's out now. There are links below where you can buy it and stream it and all that good stuff. And we've also released 3 music videos as well as a couple lyric videos for it. So you can go check those out as well. I'll put them somewhere on the screen for you to click and you can watch them later. So I wanted to talk about something that I have struggled with quite a bit, and from what I see on the social medias, I'm not the only one, and that is how to know when to say no to a thing. So no is a teeny tiny little word, but it gives me the big scared. Saying no feels mean and scary and bad, and saying yes feels nice and positive and good. And so a lot of times, if you're like that, you say yes to a lot of things and then you end up completely overloaded. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that and about how to know when to say no. So let's just kind of dive right into it. So there's some questions you can kind of start to ask yourself. Question number 1 is, do I have the time for this? And so it's easy to look at your schedule and be like, oh, I totally have time for this. You know, I can do it after work or on the weekends or on my lunch break or whatever. And those times where you're supposed to be kind of resting and resetting are not really times where you should be trying to schedule things. And this is something that like I said, I struggle with. And just for the sake of transparency, I'm doing this on the 1 day a week that I have off right now. But it is important for you to take those rest times and not try to fill them up with all that work all the time. And so just because you see that in your calendar doesn't mean that you have it. I saw on a post on Instagram a while back that said, just because you have free time doesn't mean you're available. And that stuck with me, and I think that's a really good thing. I don't remember who posted that. If any of you know who the originator of that is, let me know, because I would like to thank them for their words. But I'll give an example of a time where I had to do that. I had to say no to a thing even though I really wanted to do the thing and I thought I had the time to do it. An opportunity came across my desk last year, and it was referred to me by someone I really trust who doesn't send me crappy opportunities. And I immediately loved the idea. I wanted to jump in with both feet, but I took a second and I was like, wait a second, let me look at what I've actually got going on right now. And I did, and I realized I wasn't going to have time to commit to that in the way I needed to. And so I had to politely tell the project manager that I couldn't participate, and that sucked. I didn't want to say no to that, but I know that as crappy as it felt to say no to that, if I had said yes to it and then ended up doing not as good of a job as I would like to do, that would have felt even worse. Question number 2 that you can ask yourself is this in my wheelhouse? Now, you don't have to be an expert at everything that you ever do. None of us would ever get good at anything if we only just stuck to the things we already felt like we were good at. So I'm not saying, to decline things that don't 100% fit in your skill set. But if it's something that's just totally not what you do, then say no to it. So for example, if somebody comes to me wanting a 4-piece bluegrass band for their block party, we're a duo and we don't play bluegrass. And so for me to say yes to that and then try to fit myself into that mold would be I'd be living a lie, and I would feel stressed out the whole time as I was trying to fit into their expectations for me, and then that person would probably be disappointed with hiring us because that's not really what we do. So in that instance, what I prefer to do is ask if they're looking for recommendations and then refer somebody who would be a good fit for that. So if I have a friend who's in a 4-piece bluegrass band who could totally do that, then they would be the person that I would put them in touch with. Number 3, ask yourself, is this paid? And you may actually have to ask the person who has reached out to you if the opportunity is paid. And again, this is one of those things that I think artists can feel kind of icky about, like, oh, but I don't want to be greedy and blah, 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 blah. But if you are doing this for a living, if this is how you put food on your table and pay your bills, then you need to be getting paid to do it. I will say here that this is not the same as volunteering. I believe strongly that you should be volunteering when you're able to, and doing good work in your community. And in the pre-times, we did that as a band and as individuals, and I think that's important. So I'm not talking about volunteerism, and I'm also not talking about opportunities that don't pay monetarily but pay in other ways, such as being on TV, being on podcasts, on radio shows. Those things don't necessarily end up paying you money, but I can name many instances where we participated in something like that and benefited from it in other ways, whether that was booking a gig off of it or establishing a good relationship and connection in a different area, things like that. So I'm not counting those things as this either. I'm mostly talking about events, projects, things like that. So if somebody is just kind of not wanting to pay you because they know that they can probably get away with hiring you and not paying you, well then that's crappy, and you should say no to that. Even if it pays, if the pay is so little that you're just gonna break even or even lose money on the gig, don't take it. That's not gonna further your business, and I don't think there are many opportunities that are truly worth something in terms of developing your career that do that. I don't think I've ever regretted saying no to things like that were just kind of exploitative, where it's like, oh, I'll pay you $25 to play for 3 hours at my CD bar. Never regretted that. So it's not bad to say no, or at least ask for what your rate is. And then if they say no, well then that's on them. You didn't even say no. Question number 4 is, am I just doing this because I feel obligated? So, scenario.
Your mom's work friend's daughter's birthday is coming up, and they're having a surprise party in the backyard, and they want a live band, and they need someone to come play her favorite song, Don't Stop Believing. It's not paid, but it's a cookout, so they're gonna feed you. And it's from 4 to 6 on a Saturday.
So this is prime gig time. It's not paid, and you're gonna have to do something you don't want to do unless you're somebody who really likes covering Journey. And if that's you, good for you. I'm sure there's a great market for that, for real. That's not even being sarcastic. This is one of those situations where you may feel obligated because it's your mom's work friend's daughter, right? So, but don't. Don't feel obligated to do it, because this is a situation where you may end up tying up a really important block of your time in doing something that is not really going to serve you in the long run or in the short run, honestly. And when you say yes to things like this all the time, remember that you're saying no to other things when you're doing that. So every yes to one thing is a no to another thing, and vice versa. Every no is a yes, right? So what are you saying no to in that instance when you say yes to your mom's work friend's daughter's birthday party? And if I were to think about this, I would be thinking, well, I might be saying no to playing a gig at, you know, an establishment that I have a good relationship with that pays well. Like, that's the ideal scenario, right? That's where I want to be on Saturdays, is playing music at places that I like to play music at. Or, you know, even bigger opportunities like festivals and things like that. You could be keeping yourself from doing that by agreeing to do a freebie for your mom's work friend's daughter's birthday, playing Journey. They can play Journey on the Bluetooth. She will be fine. Number 5 is not a question, but it is a situation that a lot of us have probably found ourselves in at some point. And that's when you've committed to something, and so you feel like you can't say no anymore. You can't back out. This is not a fun place to be, and I don't necessarily make it a habit of doing this, of, you know, committing to things and then flaking out. But sometimes you have to, and it is really hard. I will say that. It's not easy to say no once you have committed to a thing. But I'll give an example that felt like it was going to be kind of a career-ending thing for me, and that was, I left a job, but I was like killing myself, probably kind of literally, trying to work this job while I was in school. I was getting like 4 hours of sleep a night. I was stressed to the max on all sides, and it was either quit school or quit the job. And so I applied for a part-time job. It was looking like I was going to get that part-time job. And so I went ahead and turned in my resignation at the other job, which felt huge. It was my first like real job. And I felt like if I did that, I was just going to be screwing myself basically. And I'd never be successful, and went to all these catastrophic scenarios, because that tends to be how I do, is that if I say no to this, then the world's gonna blow up and I'm going to, like, my career's over and everything is terrible. And that was not a fun situation to be in. And I did have that fear, that like catastrophic scenario going in my brain as I was turning in my resignation. And I felt like that part-time job was a step back, right? You know, because I'm going to part-time work from full-time work, and it just felt like I was going backward instead of forward. And that part-time work actually ended up being kind of a springboard that launched me into the glorious mess that is what I do now. And I have not ever regretted taking that over the full-time job that felt like it was the bigger deal. And so, and worst case scenario for me was, oh, I leave this job and everything is terrible and they're mad at me and hate me and say bad things about me. And that didn't happen at all. We actually ended up parting ways pretty amicably. And I've discovered in smaller, to me that's like one of the bigger things that I've ever had to do, any bigger situation where I've had to say no. But in the smaller ones where I have turned things down or said no or had to back out of something, it's never ended as badly as I saw it in my mind. And I think a lot of times we get this fear of, if I say no or if I step away from this now, everything's gonna blow up. And that might happen, but I think more often than not, it doesn't, and other opportunities come up. And again, it kind of goes back to that idea. When you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else. So I think that's really important to keep in mind all of the time. I want to leave you with some really good Instagram accounts that have helped keep this kind of at the forefront of my mind, especially recently. So I'm gonna flash all those ats up here and you'll see them. Each one of these is great, and in fact I know one of them personally. But they all post about this kind of thing and other sort of businessy related topics all the time. So I highly recommend you go and check them out. I'm also going to post a couple of my favorite YouTubers down below who talk about this stuff too. They're both excellent. Go check them out. See y'all soon. Oh, wait. I won't see you soon. Hold on. Look what we have. Can you see it? Oh, got stuff dropping. We have tie-dye shirts now. So you can get those on our website down below. They say folkish. I made this one, but we have other ones that I didn't make. So go get you one. They're fun. Okay, now I'm done. Bye.